What up, folks? What it do? Welcome to another episode of the Best Advice Ever podcast with your boy, Mike Goodwin, the bow tie comedian. Yeah. And as I start every episode the same way, it's with the On the Road Again segment. Well, this week I was on the road again. I was in the fine city of Austin, Texas. Austin City Lights. Keep Austin weird. I do believe that this is my first time performing in Austin. I have been to Austin before, but never to perform. So this is the first time I perform, and I did a Dream Team event for Christian Life Austin. What's interesting, they call themselves CLA for Christian Life Austin, but I'm from Columbia, and CLA stands for the Colonial Life Arena. So when they were saying it, I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute, where am I at?" But as you know, because my job as a comedian, being on stage, is a very stressful endeavor. To get up to perform in a manner that knocks it out of the park can be very, very stressful. However, the component that is a part of my job that often isn't thought about, that is equally stressful, is the travel component. Me having to rely on others to get me to where I'm supposed to be, especially across the state lines, right? I can't drive to Austin and be effective. That's just not for me to get there. I don't even know how many hours that is. So to drive there, preferably to get in a hotel room and take a nap and then go and perform and then drive back home. It's not good for anyone. So I have to put my travel needs in the hands, most times, of a Delta flights. Well, because the way that I travel, if you know anything about me, I'm on the first thing smoking. If I'm out, I'm in the earliest flight, usually, because I want to give myself some margin, give myself some space in case some things go wrong. I can make an adjustment. Same thing was happening. I was going to fly out of Columbia, South Carolina, CAE, flying with ease. Now, I'm a little bit frustrated with Columbia because they're making it a little less easy to fly with ease. There's this fast track program that they are discontinuing. Now, you may not be aware of the fast track because you may not live in Columbia, South Carolina, but the fast track is basically you pay. I guess you don't really you put your card on file, and you have this card that allows you to swipe into one of the parking areas, and then when you're leaving, it's the one on the far left that you can just swipe. It bills your card. You keep it moving. Well, apparently that's not making them money, so they're getting rid of it, and they're doing some different stuff. So that may be better. But because I'm used to it and it's something that I feel comfortable with, change always feels very uncomfortable. Now, whatever the new changes are, I may say, "Oh man, this is really good. I'm glad they did that." But at this point, I don't really feel that way because I know the fast track and I feel comfortable doing it. But that was the case. I was flying out of Columbia Friday morning, 05 something, 5:05, somewhere in there. I go to bed early because I had to get up. And I missed the text message from Delta where they informed me that they canceled my trip because they probably sent it. If I look at my text, they sent it up a little bit after I got into bed. And when, I probably was in the bed. It's about 10:20 at night. They send this text basically. And when Delta sends you a text message, it's not good. They're canceling your flight. They're never like, "Yo, what's up, Mike? Thank you for being a platinum card member or whatever. Thank you for being a frequent flyer. Thank you for your loyalty to. Nah, they not doing that. They not sending me happy birthday text. They saying, yo, we about to wreck your whole situation. That's what we doing. So I happen to wake up. I do a regularly scheduled bathroom break somewhere around 2:00. If I'm doing well, like if I wake up at 2, I feel good. Feel like I got some more sleep. I don't know if y'all do that. You go to bed at a particular hour, and then you wake up before your alarm sets. So however you get out of the bed, and I have a an alarm on my phone, and I happen to check my phone. It's about 2:00 in the morning, and I see I received a text from Delta Airlines, and I saw canceled flight. So I immediately got out of the bed. So I got out of the bed and I went into another room because I didn't want to disturb my beautiful wife while she is sleeping. That's all I'll say about that, because I can take this moment to take a stab, throw some shade. But I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. So I got up, went into another room, and then, well, I had to go get some headphones because I didn't want to just be on my speaker. So I went into where my headphones were, got my headphones, and then I went into my office at the house, called Delta. At 2:00 in the morning, they're saying basically there was a little bit of wait because I guess there was some storms. That what happened, there was some storms in Austin, Texas, that caused flights to be canceled. So I had about a 14-minute wait, which is no problem. I've waited for far longer than that, many a time. Well, what happens basically, I get on the phone with Delta and I say, hey, I got this flight that you canceled it. They rescheduled the flight, but it was for 5:00 that Friday afternoon, making me, probably get into Texas at 10:00. I mean, some outrageous number. And I have the type of job where I need to be there in order to get paid for the work. Like, they're not going to pay me for the work if I don't render the service. And part of that component is for me to be there in person to render the service. So I telling the woman, I'm like, hey, I got to be in Austin. You rescheduled my flight for a time that won't work. Are there any other times, other flights? So she's basically like, not out of Columbia. All the flights, that probably was the first one out of Columbia. But if you could travel somewhere else, we can try to get you out of another city. I say, yeah, of course. So immediately I say Charlotte, because Charlotte is a very sneaky amount of time away from Columbia. And I often like to think that Charlotte's an hour and a half, but it's probably more like 2 hours when you add in the parking situation at the airport. Because at Columbia, I go into the little parking place, out the surface parking, and I'll walk over to the terminal. I mean, it takes probably about 6 minutes in total from the time I park my car to the time I'm standing in front of a TSA agent. Maybe 10 minutes, depending on how I'm walking, but no more than 10 minutes. That's not the same at Charlotte, because at Charlotte, you need to park, long-term parking. You got to figure out where you got to find a spot. Then you got to get on the shuttle. Then the shuttle takes you over to all the stops that are still. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, Charlotte is like on a alphabetical type setup. So you might pick me up in the F17 or whatever, but we still got to go through the rest of the alphabet before we can go to the terminal, right? I don't know how long that's going to take. So you got to add extra cushion for Charlotte. So I immediately say Charlotte. So, she's looking at Charlotte. There's an 8:00. There's a 10:00. I don't like any one of those. I like the 10 sounded great for some extra sleep, but I'm like, nah, I gotta get out of here, man. So I'm like the 8 o'clock, but then she was like, I don't know if there's space, and the first leg is an American flight. Then you have to. I was like, what about Greenville Spartanburg GSP? So she found GSP, pulled it up. It was a 7 o'clock. I can get you on the 7 o'clock flight out of GSP. Let's do it. Great. So I probably stayed on the phone after the wait. We probably got this taken care of in about 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, it was really quick. I think I was back in the bed by 2:30. I think I was back in the bed to get some more Z's, and then I popped up around 3:30, maybe 3:30, 4 o'clock to get to Greenville. That's what I do. And I don't say anything about this to my wife. I just, do my deal, tell everybody goodbye. I'm on the road. So now there's an hour and a half to GSP. And I've flown to GSP a few times, like a handful of times, but not enough to be all the way clear on what's happening. And I'm cutting it kind of close. Like I'm getting there, parking at about 6. My flight boards at 6:30. I have the pre-check and all that. So it's going to take me on average, I'm thinking, about 6 to 7 minutes to get through the whole deal. Maybe 10 minutes at the most, right? But I don't know the parking situation in GSP. Well, they got the same kind of situation that Charlotte has, but on a smaller scale. They have like parking 1, parking 2, shuttle taking you over and dropping you off. So I find it a little difficult to find a parking spot. I pull in the PS or P2 looking for a spot. I mean, I'm looking, man, I can't find. So I'm thinking that's going to take a minute. We're at about probably 45 minutes. Find a spot, hop out. There's a little shuttle. I kind of hustle over, but not really clear where I am. I look at this because I think they're by shelters. So I see shelter. I make a note of where I park. Get on the shuttle. Shuttle gets me over to the flight. It's all gravy. I get to where I'm supposed to be in Austin. Outstanding. Have a great show. Matter of fact, and I need to say shout out to CLA. They were phenomenal. Oftentimes, I think about it, comedians will tell you when crowds are difficult, hard. Oh, it took a little bit to get them going. No, these folks were ready out the gate. Matter of fact, the senior pastor, they have a senior pastor and a lead pastor. Senior pastor was connected to the other church. Said those folks had reached out and told them about me. Basically said those folks at the other church love to come preach at their church. Say this is an easy crowd to preach to. And I was like, wow, man, that sounds great. And they were an easy crowd to tell these jokes. I mean, they were ready. I really felt a little hurt because I could have come with some more ideas. Like this was the crowd. If I had like 10 minutes of stuff that I'm kind of trying to figure out, this would have been a great opportunity to do something. And I did some of it. Like I did put some stuff up that I don't really all the way feel comfortable doing in certain places. Especially I'm doing some material about my dad that's really dark, like it's really hard material. So I don't know how to get exactly to the jokes. And I threw that out there and it was very, very dark and it didn't land well. And I just was like, hey guys, sorry that the show took a weird turn, but this is kind of what I'm dealing with in my life right now. So they were cool. I did some things and then we kept it moving. So it was a great night. Wonderful show, man. Awesome crowd. I felt a little bit uneasy because it was formal and I had to wear a tuxedo. I hadn't worn this tuxedo in 2023. And apparently the weight I had the last time I wore this tuxedo is not the same weight that I have currently. I've backslidden, people. I'm a backslidden fitness state. It's and I knew it, but I didn't know it. It's one of those things where I'm on my routine. I go to the gym regularly, but man, I eat and I eat what I want to eat, and it goes in my stomach, and my stomach starts to grow, and I eat, and I eat. So my tuxedo was like, hey, bro, we a little bit tighter than the last time. Our connection in a relationship is a little bit snugger than before. So I gotta get on the program. I gotta throw all my chips in. And that's this probably another conversation for another day. Because I am the king of transformation challenges. Like I'll go and I'll eat and I eat and I eat it all up. And then I'll see a picture. And I'm like, yo, what are you doing out here, my man? And then we get into Operation No T-shirt mode. And then so I burn off the weight. And then I'm looking good, feeling good. Suits are not as snug as they were. And now then I begin to eat. And I eat. And I do this cycle over and over. So I think this is the last time, because oftentimes when I go into this routine, I go in it to lose weight. Now I just need to go in it to maintain a certain physique or fitness. But we shall see. But I did that out there with that tight tuxedo that I had on. And I had on my second string tuxedo pants. I didn't even have I had on the backup pants, because the first pants, the pants that came with the tuxedo, nah, they'll join. And I get stuff tailored. I get it tailored to my specifications. Then my specifications enhance themselves. And now my tailored suits that were fitting smooth and really nicely is very uncomfortable and is very oppressive. But that was the deal in that regard. Had a great night. Got back to the hotel. Then enjoyed, I had some dinner at the event. And I looked at my phone to check in for the new flight, but I saw something, but it didn't register. And it was the same type of deal. I got early flight flying out. So I'm like, okay, I'm up at 3. I think the airport was about 10 minutes from the hotel. We ride. But when I wake up in the morning, I said, man, does my flight go back to Columbia or Greenville, Spartanburg? And lo and behold, that thing was flying me back to Columbia. And I was like, no, sir. No, ma'am. So I look at the phone and saying Columbia. I'm like, nah, bro, I can't. Because I could have flew back to Columbia, and then I got my wife drive me to Greenville, and then we both drive. I was like, nah, we're not. That's doing too much. So I called Delta. This time it was really quick. There's no canceled flights. I got right in. So I'm telling the woman, hey, the first flight's fine. I have no issues getting from Austin to Atlanta. It's from Atlanta to Greenville, Spartanburg, and not Columbia. So she does her thing, but she can't make the final adjustments. Like she finds a flight 10 o'clock out of Atlanta, gets me into GSP, but she can't do whatever. She can't select whatever. So she got to forward me over. Now, I'm trying to get out of my room at 3:30. I'm trying to get out at 3:30. I can get to the parking garage at 3:40. Austin is the one where you just walk across the street pretty much. But the time is ticking. I'm on this call. I'm packing my stuff. I'm ready to go, but I don't want to chance the call being dropped when I get on the elevator or whatever. I just like, if I just stay here and finish this call, I can still be within my time frame. So she gets back on the phone. She moves me over to the other person. They're like, oh, we good to go. Check it out. So I check it out. Now, I had first class seating on the first flight from Austin to Atlanta, and I wanted to keep that first class seat. So when I looked at my app, I said, hey, they got me back here at 19A. Now, mind you, I was in first class. All the flights that the one that got canceled, I had first class coming in, both legs. And then when I got it, when they moved me to GSP, I was in the back of the bus. Like I was 2 rows up from the bathroom. But I was like, hey man, I gotta get to Austin. I don't care anything about that. But going back home, I'm like, hey man, let me get a little bit of this luxury. Let me get some of this leg room. And so I said, hey, my seat. And she was like, oh, it won't let me. And I'm like, hey, so I'm just going to lose my upgrade. So she was like, you probably need to check back in or log out something. So I did that, got my seat back. Now, when I got on the flight to fly out, it was an aisle seat, first class. The couple came in. It was a couple. So I'm sitting in this aisle. The guy sitting on the other aisle. She's like, oh, can we bother you, one of you, to take one of the window seats? And I guess the way I communicated, it sounded like I was saying yes, because I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that. But when she must have just heard, oh, yeah. And she's like, oh, that's so great. We could just. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm not going to sit in the window seat. And so this woman, oh, I probably should have went in the window seat because she took off her shoes. She smelled like she just played 5 games of pickup basketball. And she was doing a lot of movement. She went to the bathroom a couple of times. I just like, man, I probably should have took the window seat. So then I get back to Greenville, drive home. That happens on the road. That's how it goes. Glad that was behind me, but I'm back on the road tomorrow. I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, on Tuesday, and I'm in Dallas, Texas, South Lake, Texas, for the Gateway Men's Summit. So we'll be back on the road again. Now, for the part that we've all been waiting for, the best part of the podcast is the best advice ever. I saw this post and I was like, oh man, that'd be a great best advice ever post. So I'm gonna read it and then I'll the best advice. Well, the best advice, let's start with the best advice. Don't stay in a place where no one sees your value. That's the best advice ever for the day. Don't stay in a place where no one sees your value. But I saw this post, wanted to read the story. A father told his daughter, congratulations on your graduation. I bought you a car a while back. I want you to have it. Before I give it to you, take the car to the car dealer in the city and sell it. See how much they offer. The girl came back to her father and said they offered me $10,000 because it looks very old. Father said, okay, now take it to the pawn shop. The girl returns to her father and said the pawn shop offered $1,000 because it was a very old car and needs a lot of work done. The father told her to join a passionate car club with experts and show them the car. The girl drove to the passionate car club. She returned to her father after a few hours and told him, some people in the club offered me $100,000 because it's a rare car that's in good condition. Then the father said, I wanted to let you know that you're not worth anything if you're not in the right place. If you're not appreciated, do not be angry. That means you are in the wrong place. Don't stay in a place where no one sees your value. The moral of the story, know your worth and know where you are valued. A diamond doesn't shine on the bottom of a cave. And that really spoke to me when I saw that, especially the part where it said, if you're not appreciated, do not be angry. Hey man, go find places that people will value. That's the best advice ever. Simply don't stay in a place where no one sees your value. It's incumbent upon you to find community, find your tribe, find the place in which you can flourish. Again, last week I talked to y'all about the college visits I did with my daughter. And in talking to her about college in general, just the concept of college, my desire for her is to find a place where you not only grow, not only survive, but you find a place in which you thrive. You can go to a lot of schools and you can get a great education at a lot of places, but not every place is going to foster an atmosphere for you to thrive and be the best version of yourself and to really tap into talents and gifts and abilities that you did not know were there. Now, you can be angry. You can point the finger at other people and say, why don't you see what I'm valued? Why aren't you paying me more? Why don't you have more of a regard? You can do that. Nobody's going to stop you from doing that. But you're far better finding a community, finding a place where folks will see you coming and they're like, the champ is here. The champ is here. When I was in college, there's a girl, Maya. Oh man, her last name it just left my brain. And she unfortunately has passed. But every time she would see me, she would say, how are you doing, Mr. President? Like this woman, Maya Clinksdale. Every time she would see me, she would call me Mr. President. And it was like something that she said was calling to something that was in me. Like she saw something in me even before I may have even seen it. She just was like, and I don't know what that was the president of. Like I was not the president of anything at that time or would desire to be the president, I don't think. But she just would call me Mr. President. And it would ignite something in me. It made me, yeah, I am presidential. I have a presidential swag out here. So I encourage you to not stay in the place where no one sees your value. Go to the place where you are valuable. Well, we're at the end of another episode, folks. Again, on the road again. I need to manage this time a little differently because I still have to talk to y'all about some insights I just realized about grief and my personal journey with therapy. But it's not enough time. It's not enough time. I did attend a funeral of a family member, uncle of mine, I found to be pretty interesting. I will say this about nowadays we call these homegoing celebrations. When I was growing up, they called them funerals. I want a funeral when I pass. I don't want y'all celebrating nothing. I want y'all weeping and gnashing teeth. I want y'all passing out I want y'all hollering, not hollering. I want you, oh Lord, no Jesus. No celebration of life, man. I want y'all sad. I want y'all inconsolable. I don't want you celebrating, and giggling and kikiing. We doing that now. I want y'all weeping, mourning. I want y'all crying like the stock market just crashed, man. Home going celebration, no, man. I want y'all in mourning. I want y'all in ash cloth. I want y'all. I want Old Testament funeral when I get out of here. All right, y'all. Thanks for checking in. It's been another outstanding episode. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Best Advice Ever podcast. If you have any questions, send me an email at info@comedianmikegoodwin.com. You can follow me on social media. I'm at Bowtie Comedy on Instagram and Twitter and on TikTok. On Facebook, I'm at Comedian Mike Goodwin. Please join my email list, mikegoodwin.com/updates. You can get the latest information as it relates to my tour dates that I have coming up. I send out discount code for merch. I do a weekly email. I just give you some additional insights on just how I'm seeing things and just some ideas that I have from this wacky, crazy mind of mine. So thank y'all again so much for hanging out with me on another episode. See you next week. Same back place, same back channel. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate it. Until next time, y'all. Peace.